Bilge water, magic pipes, and million-dollar fines. We will listen to Marinfloc, who is the leader in wastewater treatment by continuous innovation of new solutions for a clean sea. Actually, a major cruise ship operator was fined $40 million earlier this year for illegally discharging untreated bilge water in the sea. Why are the magic pipes still in use, and what needs to be done to prevent bilge water-related problems in USA? Now listen and learn. General Manager Marketing and Sales, Martin Gombrii.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to speak about bilge water today, and for those of you who don't know what bilge water is, it's wastewater generated from the machinery spaces of vessels, and nothing to do with cargo. Magic pipes is a way to bypass or manipulate the oil-water separator to discharge untreated water in the ocean. This is a picture of Sovereign of the Seas 1994 being caught discharging oil in the Caribbean. It resulted in a fine of $37 million. And this was sort of the beginning of what I will speak about now, the US Department of Justice way of dealing with this problem. This was 94, but I can assure you this problem still is very much alive. Here we have a aerial surveillance from last year. It's about 170 nautical miles outside France. A vessel is discharging oil of about 50 meters wide. This ship was naturally detained in Brest and they had to pay 500,000 euro just to get it off the detention. And you can see here it's quite a lot of oil. Also last year, we are situated on Orust, which is an island north of Gothenburg. We had an oil spill of about 13 kilometers. Nobody knew where it came from, and nobody knew where it went. But then this year, Carnival Corporation got fined $40 million for a series of rigged sensors and way to manipulate untreated bilge water into the ocean. So this is still a big problem. But a magic pipe, just to define it, it's any method to bypass or manipulate to discharge untreated bilge water into the sea. This is one example where you have the major bilge pump discharging to the bilge holding tank. You have the overboard connection for the bilge water separator. This is a common thing you see, a test cock here, so you can normally see a chair, and back in the days you had an ashtray. The engineer can sit and check that it's not too bad, the thing's going out. So here you have the overboard connection with the sight glass, and the sight glass is handy, but then you have a quick connect, 1-inch quick connect, so you can actually discharge whatever you want with a pump. OSG got about a pretty fairly big fine as well. They used a bypass here, a hose they found on board that was used to bypass the oil-water separator. In Evergreen case, they found a pipe that was used to bypass the oil-water separator. There are many ways. You can also trick the oil content meter. This is the sample valve, and if you activate the flushing, it should go immediately into alarm, where this lever here is connected to the magnet. But if you put some metal piece on the magnet, it will not make that alarm happen. And another common method is to dilute the sample, which is also not allowed. But this is still a very big thing. This is still a lot of companies being fined. You see here DSDS, for instance, last year, $2.5 million. Columbia Ship Management in Germany, they had 4 vessels doing this at 4 different ways and got fined $10 million. So it's still quite a common thing that's happening, and the Coast Guard and Department of Justice has yet fined over $400 million, and you can also go to jail. Normally, the fines are ranging from $200,000 to $40 million. So the question is why? Why is this still a big problem? Well, we have a book. It's actually down there if you want to have a copy of it, actually dealing with all the type of problems. I will not go through them all today because I only have 20 minutes. But one problem is that the oil content meters are reading for other things than oil that get disturbing the reading. The bilge water tank is normally very low and long and narrow, so you get the perfect mixer. The heating facilities is normally pretty poor in these tanks. You have 20, 30 types of chemicals that presents a mixture that the oil water separator has to be able to treat. The separator themselves are normally based on just filters, and people get tired of changing filters, so these are then manipulated. The oil record book is a problem. This is normally the way that the Coast Guard or the Department of Justice will actually start interrogation, is by looking to the oil record book. So it's important that you know how to fill this correctly. The amount of training is almost non-existent, and a big problem is that people have attitude problems, thinking that water, 15 ppm is the limit, and it's hardly visible to the naked eye, and people have attitude problems and think that this is clean enough to discharge, and it's this oil content meter that's not working and discharge bypass. And also company policies that are not at all implemented on board the ships, just a piece of paper. But I will speak mainly about the regulations and these whistleblowers, which is normally what is actually firing the investigations in US. So just basically the rules for discharging bilge water according to MARPOL is that you have to be en route. The vessel has to be equipped with an approved oil water separator. You have to be below 15 parts per million, ppm, without dilution in the effluent. And for tankers, you cannot have any cargo mixture in it, any cargo residues or cargo pump room bilges in this. There is also the Polar Code that will totally prohibit discharge of bilge water, regardless of the oil content. It's been this way in Antarctica, but now it's going to come with a Polar Code also for the Arctic region. So there's a no discharge policy. Then you have some countries having natural legislation that supersedes the MARPOL. Most countries, like Sweden, they just need to be en route, have an approved system below 15 ppm. But some countries have natural legislation, like Denmark have 12 nautical mile limitation for this. Canada have 5 ppm for the inland waters. US is a different story. They have quite a few regulations they can use to prosecute. The Act APPS, Act of Prevent Pollution from Ships, is normally what you get prosecuted when you do a MARPOL violation. The Clean Water Act is also prohibit discharge of oil, but that actually goes all the way to 200 nautical miles, their jurisdiction for the Clean Water Act. The obstruction of justice is when you are being interrogated and you get nervous and starts to hide information, or you erase information in the oil record book. Witness tampering is when you tell crew members to not tell the truth or lie. You have conspiracy, which is when 2 or more persons are actually conspiring against these frauds. Yeah? But then you have also the responsible corporate officer doctrine, which means that not only the people on board can get fined, it's also office personnel, if they were in a position to know that it could prevent a violation. So all these regulations are the ones that the Department of Justice can use. So looking at the DSDS case, it was tampering a witness, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy that was the charges, not the oil spill. They didn't get anything for the oil spill. With another case here with the Greek, they had also obstruction of justice. They had the False Statement Act, which means incorrect entries in the oil record book. They had been tampering witnesses and conspired to manipulate, which gave them $500,000 per count. Again, not the oil spill. You don't get fined for the oil spill. What's actually firing these investigations are the Whistleblowers Act. In US, you can get rewarded if you tell on your crew member. If you see something illegal happening, you can actually get up to 50% of the fine in reward. So to date, over 100 crew members have been received these awards. So over $17 million has been paid to whistleblowers, which is quite a lot of money for seafarers. So it's very dangerous. Here we have some cases where a whistleblower got $462,000 for providing evidence to the Coast Guard. Here one got $1.2 million, so it's very important to protect yourself. If you get convicted, it depends a little bit on what happened, but normally you get a massive fine, which is the one I've been talking about, but that's part of it. You can also get imprisonment. They take the obstruction of justice, the witness tampering, the conspiracy, whatever charges, and they put them on top of each other, and you can actually also get imprisoned. You will get subject to an ECP, which is an environmental compliance plan, where you have to be able to demonstrate to the Coast Guard that you are doing measures, you are investing in new equipment, you're investing in training and vetting. A court-appointed monitor will go from ship to ship and do re-inspections, and if he or she finds something that's wrong, he can do additional fines. And you can also be banned from sailing to US ports. So to date, over 150 companies has been subject to these environmental compliance plans. So the fine itself is perhaps not the biggest cost. So it's really important that only one bad apple, one sailor with bad attitude can actually cause a tremendous damage to the company, to the cargo owner, to the technical manager. So it's really important to protect yourself. What we encourage is that to have continuous training programs where you highlight the risk and why this thing happens. Encourage internal reporting, so it's better that you report this internally instead of that the Coast Guard finds out. And really take action when you get the investigation and someone reports it. And make sure to reward it so the crew members feel that they really get, heard. That superintendents keeps revisiting the ships and hammer in that compliance message. And also, if the chief says that the oil water separator doesn't work, maybe listen to him and ensure that the technical needs are met. So it's all about actually implementing a program or a culture that aims to strengthen the corporate culture of compliance. And it's really the corporate culture from the CEO to the oiler, bosun, or captain. It's really, really important, and this is very difficult. But if you have a program that strongly emphasizes both on ethics and environmental compliance, it is good business, because you can use it in your marketing, but you can also avoid getting caught in these very dangerous situations. So you have to ask yourself if you can afford the cost, and are you willing to take the risk for non-compliance? So that was it. Sorry? Oh, something else. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. That was actually the first question we've had on these 2 days, but it wasn't any question.
Right.
Thank you so much
for
coming here and delivering this interesting. Hope to see you again. Is this your first time at DSM?
Third. We had
Time.
We have had the bus here 3 times now. So.
Yes, and you have been here by yourself. Oh, you have a question. That's good.
Hello, Martin. You're
Hello.
talking about the US. Have you seen any other countries following up on this strict regime?
The German Coast Guard are doing quite a lot of investigations and are presenting fines, but they are not using the same type of legislation, like obstruction of justice, tampering a witness, obstruction of justice, and false records primarily. So, yes, other countries are targeting it, but you do not see even near close to these fines. This ship doing the oil spill on the aerial surveillance you saw there will probably be it's a European case in France, but I haven't seen the result of that yet, but that will probably be a big one. But that was a massive spill, though. So, and of course, most spills go undetected. But no, it's the US is really pushing the whole thing. Yeah? But it's important to know that even though you're not discharging, even in 200 nautical miles from US, you can still get a massive fine because they charge you for falsified records, obstruction of justice, tampering a witness. So just having a policy with no US discharge doesn't really help.
Any more questions to be held? All right, then I think we thank you so much, Martin.
Thank you.
Gombrii, General Manager and Marketing and Sales at Marinfloc, for this speech. Thank you so much. An applause, please.